Inflation has decreased for 7 consecutive months, but cost for one item that accounts for a sizable portion of every American's budget remains on the increase: the food we consume at home. 30 million people are on the verge of going hungry in the richest nation in the world because they are unable to keep up with the growing grocery prices. 1 in 10 Americans are at risk of being hungry, and approximately 70% of people in the country say that they are now having trouble paying the grocery cost. The situation is really worse to look at, which we'll be exposing right now. According to a report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumer prices in January were 6.4% higher than they were a year ago. The cost of food alone has increased by 10.1%. Despite the modest drop in overall prices in the United States in January, according to federal labor statistics, grocery inflation increased. The Labor Department stated that prices for food at home, or what consumers purchase from merchants to prepare their own meals, increased 11.3% in January from a year earlier. Due to decreasing prices for products like secondhand vehicles and airline fees, many households are still feeling the pain even though total inflation is progressively declining. The hardest hit groups by food store cost are low-income families. Although receiving the largest cost of living rise since 1981, Social Security recipients will see an 8.7% increase in 2023. Nonetheless, this increase will fall short of rising food prices, with the poor often spending a larger percentage of their income on food. According to a report published in January by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, households with an annual income of $50,000 or less are feeling the effects of the growing cost of food the most, along with rising transportation and housing costs. Many senior citizens now shop and eat out differently as prices climb. The way that many Americans, including many over the age of 65, buy and eat has changed as a result of increasing pricing at grocery shops and restaurants around the nation. Despite the little predicted decline in food prices this year, many Americans will still experience financial strain. According to the Department of Agriculture, food costs are predicted to increase by another 7% in 2023, after rising about 10% last year. Grocery costs, which were up 11.8% in December compared to a year earlier, haven't decreased much for consumers. Despite the fact that general inflation is starting to slow down, it's no longer possible to stroll into a grocery store and purchase a gallon of milk for less than $3 or a dozen eggs for $1.50. Grade A eggs have increased in price by 138%. Margarine by 43.8%, butter sticks by 38.5%, all-purpose flour by 34.5%, and spaghetti and macaroni noodles by 31.3%. Over the past year, the price of butter and margarine increased, making the basic kitchen staple less accessible. Price rises have also been observed for fresh fruits and vegetables, while lettuce is unquestionably the worst, with a 24.9% increase in the previous year. Almost all fruits are more expensive than they were the previous year. The price of a pint of fresh strawberries has increased by more than 25% since November 2021, while the prices of apples, lemons, navel oranges, and bananas have all increased since December 2021. While potatoes are around 22% more expensive than they were last year, and the cost of field-grown tomatoes has increased by 16.9%. In the last year, the price of a hot dog, which is America's favorite summer food, has increased by 18.2%, and lunch meats have also increased by 15.1%. Contrarily, a rise in supplies has resulted in a roughly 3% drop in the price of beef over the past year, albeit this isn't necessarily a positive thing. The price of cattle decreased last year as a result of farmers being compelled to sell them earlier than usual due to droughts. While charities and food banks from across the nation are already preparing for worst-case situations, a warning from federal government agencies warns that in a few weeks, food insecurity levels are expected to climb dramatically in 32 states. Since the emergency food stamp allocation is soon expiring, food insecurities are increasing in the United States. According to new research, more people who rely on food stamps say they skip meals, consumed less food, and visited food banks to cut costs last month. The benefits of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, the SNAP, will be reduced early in March. The Agricultural Department is now alerting 32 local governments. The number of people who are food insecure are now expected to dramatically increase in 32 states. People will on average lose $82 in SNAP benefits each month as a result of this impending hunger cliff, which will affect the great majority of states. Benefits for a family of 4 will be reduced by about $328 per month, while senior Americans who receive the minimum monthly benefit will have their SNAP payments drop from $281 per month to as little as $23. a decline of $258, after rising from $129.83 in 2019 to $230.88 on average per person in 2022. The benefit did so. According to the most recent monthly survey conducted by Provider, an app that aims to help low-income Americans improve their financial health, nearly a third of the 30 million SNAP recipients who are at risk of going hungry are already skipping meals, eating less, and using food banks to manage grocery costs. Food banks, on the other hand, are preparing the worst-case situation as food help is reduced. The demand is already so great that soon they'll have to send people home with empty hands, according to the representatives of organizations. In a few months, charities will have no choice but to turn people away because there won't be enough food for everyone in need. With the number of people seeking food assistance increasing by 65% in December and 90% of food banks in danger of running out of supplies due to sharp increases in food costs. More than 6 million Americans over 65, or more than 10% of the country's population, were estimated to be living below the poverty level in 2021, according to a Census Bureau estimates. Furthermore, despite this year's 8.7% rise in Social Security benefits, the largest inflation adjustment in decades, many retirees still find themselves in need of additional income. Experts are concerned that as costs rise, older people who are in poor physical or mental health or who have fewer means are more likely to go without food or to eat less healthful meals. If they avoid social activities like going out to lunch with friends, the squeeze may also cause them to become socially isolated. Several seniors across the nation claim that the prices have changed their behavior, even if many have only slightly moderated their grocery shopping and eating out habits due to considerable savings, income from pensions or other retirement funds, or both. In order to lower prices, the Fed has been gradually boosting interest rates for about a year, increasing them from 0% to the immediate aftermath of the coronavirus outbreak to between 4.5 and 4.75%. But increased rates make it more expensive to conduct business throughout the economy, which reduces demand for products and services and ultimately drives down prices. Putting adequate food on the table is now out of reach for tens of millions of Americans, despite the fact that supermarket inflation has pushed many individuals to make cuts. Without a doubt, businesses have raised prices far above what is necessary to cover their cost, and their record profits have made this inflation even worse. They've done this by preying on consumers' desperation and the supply chain issues. Unquestionably, large food firms overcharge their customers. And at a time when business expenses are beginning to decline but consumer prices are still high, they are no longer able to refute it because this is more obvious than ever. While the government drives millions of people closer to poverty and food insecurity, corporations continue to put profits before the welfare of those struggling to make ends meet. Many people will be forced to sell their possessions as a result of this terrible hunger crisis, which is the result of a flawed society that ignores the fundamental needs of its people. This is the stark reality of the circumstances we're in right now. In America, even the most basic requirements for survival are turning into luxuries that the majority of people cannot afford. The exorbitant grocery prices will get way worse.